You think the way to make a woman miss you is to talk more, try harder, explain yourself better. But the truth is, the more you chase, the more invisible you become. Right now, you're probably telling yourself a story. If I say the right thing, if I show her how much I care, if I stay consistent enough, she'll feel it eventually. That belief feels comforting. It also keeps you stuck. Because here's the hard flip. Women don't miss what's always available. They miss what has weight. They miss what has direction. They miss what doesn't need them to survive. And before we go any further, you need reminders like this. You need truth, not motivation sugar. So subscribe now, not for me, but for you. Because when your emotions start lying to you again, you're going to need a voice that cuts through the noise and brings you back to reality. Here's the thesis you've been avoiding. Making a woman miss you has almost nothing to do with her and everything to do with the version of you that shows up in the world. Not the version trying to be chosen, the version that is already chosen by himself. The biggest misconception is that attraction is built through effort directed at her. More texts, more attention, more reassurance, more availability. That's the fantasy. Here's the hard truth. Attraction is built through contrast, and contrast only exists when you are not orbiting her. Why does this happen? Because attraction is not logical, it's emotional. And emotion responds to tension, not pressure. When you overinvest, you remove tension. When you explain yourself too much, you collapse mystery. When you chase clarity, you kill curiosity. And curiosity is what creates missing. Not words, not promises, absence of need. You don't make someone miss you by disappearing randomly or playing games. That's insecurity wearing a strategy mask. You make someone miss you when your presence feels grounded, full, and scarce by nature, not by manipulation. Let's talk about the real root cause. Most men don't want to be missed. They want to be chosen. And those are not the same thing. When you want to be chosen, you negotiate your value. You tolerate mixed signals. You stay understanding when your needs are ignored. You explain bad behavior instead of responding to it. That's called self-abandonment. And here's what it costs you. You lose your edge, you lose your polarity, you lose the version of you that had direction before you centered your life around her reactions. She doesn't miss you because there's nothing to miss. You were always there, emotionally, mentally, digitally. No contrast, no space, no gravity. Now reframe this. The goal is not to make her miss you. The goal is to become the kind of man whose absence is felt. There's a difference. Let me paint the archetype for you. The man who creates missing doesn't rush. He doesn't overqualify himself. He doesn't fill silence with anxiety. He has a life that pulls him forward, work that matters, standards that don't bend, a nervous system that isn't controlled by her moods. When he's with her, he's present, fully, calmly. When he's not, he's gone. Not performing absence, living his life. That's what hits. That's what creates the echo in her mind when you're not around. Because women don't miss attention. They miss how they feel around a man who is centered in himself. Now listen carefully. If she's not interested right now, this still applies. In fact, this is the only thing that ever changes that dynamic. You can't talk someone into desire. You can't convince someone to feel attraction, but you can remove the behaviors that are suppressing it. Stop trying to be understood. Stop trying to stay relevant in her inbox. Stop trying to prove you're different. Every time you do that, you communicate one thing. I need your response to feel okay. And that kills respect. Here's what you do instead. You redirect your focus back to your center, not as a tactic, as a correction. You stop initiating from anxiety. You stop responding instantly. You stop offering emotional labor that hasn't been earned. You don't withdraw to punish. You withdraw to realign. That's called self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic because it signals abundance without saying a word. Notice how different this feels. You're not withholding. You're not manipulating. You're not playing cold. You're simply no longer overgiving where there is no reciprocity. Now let's get practical. When you interact with her, you speak clean. No over-explaining, no emotional dumping, no fishing for validation. You say what you mean. You let silence exist. You let moments end without forcing more. You stop filling gaps. You stop chasing closure. You stop asking, where do I stand? Because the moment you ask that, you've already placed yourself below. Instead, you observe behavior, consistency, effort, energy. If it's there, you continue. If it's not, you pull back without resentment. That's power. And here's the part most men miss. When you pull back correctly, you don't announce it. You don't threaten. You don't say, I'm done. You simply stop leaning forward. That absence creates a mirror. And in that mirror, she feels the difference. Not because you're gone, but because the dynamic has changed. Now, will every woman suddenly miss you? No. And that's the point. The women who only wanted attention will drift away. The women who felt your grounding will feel the loss. Either way, you win, because you're no longer leaking value. Let's address the fear underneath all of this. You're afraid that if you stop trying, you'll lose her forever. Here's the brutal clarity. If you have to abandon yourself to keep her, you already lost. What you're really afraid of is being alone with yourself, because you tied your worth to her interest. Break that link. You are not valuable because a woman wants you. A woman wants you because you are valuable. That order matters. And once you internalize that, your energy shifts. You stop performing. You stop chasing outcomes. You start moving like a man who knows he'll be fine either way. That's when missing happens. Not because you engineered it, but because you became solid. Here's the identity reset. You are not the guy trying to be remembered. You are the standard people feel when it's gone. You don't need to make her miss you. You need to make yourself undeniable to yourself. Do that. And whether she comes closer or not, you walk away stronger. That's the win. And if you want more truth like this, more clarity when your emotions try to pull you off center, subscribe. This isn't content, it's calibration. You're not alone in this. You're part of a group of men choosing self-respect over chasing, reality over fantasy, and strength over comfort.